Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot coming at you with the weekly comic book round. We've got ourselves goodly few image books to wrap up this part of this portion of the roundup. So let's get started with Destro number 2. So in the first issue, Destro attended an arms expo in the country of Darklonia. It was attacked, seemingly, by Tomax and Xamot Paoli, also known as the Crimson Twins. So, the issue picks up largely with the issue picks up basically where the first issue left off. But apparently the Destro is displeased with the fact that Extensive Enterprises, Tomax and Xamot's company, had managed to seemingly cloak combat drones from Mars satellites. Figuring if they killed him, they could move in and monopolize the military-industrial complex with their Crimson Guard mercenaries. But, well, they didn't kill Destro, and so he's going to raise them to the ground and assault the Earth. A lot of the issue is the history of Tomax and Xamot, a brief history of Tomax and Xamot told by Destro, as well as his opinions on the twins, as well, and Tomax and Xamot's kind of similar but also different opinions on Destro. But Destro is talking about the combat drones to an assemblage of Designer Grenadiers, one of his private armies, after the Bats, of course. We see some of the Crimson Guard training as well as that training being interrupted by Iron Grenadiers piloting despoilers. Despoilers are small one-man combat craft armed with cannons and a few missiles. In reality, the despoiler was included with the Iron Grenadiers version of Destro in the old Real American Hero line, when basically the Iron Grenadiers being a faction led by Destro that had broken off from Cobra. But the Crimson Guard are it said that the Tomax and Xamot find ruthless businessmen and train them to be ruthless mercenaries. They find ruthless soldiers and train them to be ruthless businessmen. They bring the best of the best to the training grounds in Belarus, which are being attacked currently by Iron Grenadiers. And so, as a counterattack, Crimson Guards assault a Mars factory in South Carolina, which is where all the complete store of Destro's Energon is. And so the bats are activated, even if they aren't finished or are damaged. And they're quite deadly, even when damaged or unfinished. and the Extensive Enterprises ASP is rolled out. Assault System Pod. To take out the despoilers. Destro is actually kind of impressive. They managed to get the ASP to work, but he decides to meet them at an undisclosed location in the Pacific Ocean. It's basically an island that's become a junkyard of rusted, useless shells and spent carcasses of 1,000 machines of war. A landfill of weapons no longer fit for use. A no man's land swept under the rug by mutual signed agreement of the world's governments. But also apparently, Destro states that the U.S. has lost 6 nuclear warheads. It's, which and he's made a personal project to have them all retrieved. So the twins and Destro agree to mutually assured destruction without collateral damage. And so Destro retreats to the Scottish Highlands and his family home, and he's observed by an Extensive Enterprises operative by the name of Chameleon, who seems to have a cloaking suit, and that is where the issue ends. I'm really digging I'm digging all the stuff from the Energon universe, but I like the fact that we got the Crimson Guard and the Iron Grenadiers set up. Presumably, Cobra Commander will bring in the Vipers. So, all the various cannon fodder of Cobra. But anyways, moving on to our next book, we've got Redcoat, number 4. Simon Pure is an immortal who is a British soldier who became an immortal in 1776. And he's a jerk. Previously in the comic, Simon Pure was cut with the mystical axe that George Washington used to chop down the fabled cherry tree. Benedict Arnold is also an immortal, and if not treated, the wound would be fatal in 3 days' time. However, Simon and young Einstein had fallen prey to the Grand Architect and his cult. The issue begins 16 days previously with young Albert Einstein being discovered as a stowaway on a boat and losing pretty much all of his possessions in doing so. But he managed to find a lockpick, which is good for the fact that he's in captivity in the present. Meanwhile, Simon is about to be not be sacrificed, but he's on an altar, and the Grand Architect is discussing his plans, meaning to unleash a biblical inferno on the U.S. But Einstein manages to help Simon escape, and then they end up they go through a door that is apparently a maze, enters to a maze, and the candle they have goes out. But they talk for a moment. Einstein expands upon one of the things that the great architect said about how he squandered, you know, why he squandered his immortality, and why does he even bother continuing to live? He lists basically, he's fond of drink, fond of food, and fond of the company of women. But the duo are rescued by Benedict Arnold, who reveals the identity of the Grand Architect as George Washington, also an immortal. It's also stated that after a few years of becoming an immortal, Simon fell in love with a woman, and she died. And he basically realized he was in a stream. He was standing in a stream, watching all the fish go by. But the revelation of George Washington as the Grand Architect is the end of the issue. We also have a data file on Washington. Also, it turns out that Simon's immortality was intended for Ben Franklin. And upon becoming the first president, before becoming the first president, he created something of a cult known as the Founding Fathers. They were largely inactive until Washington was formally made president, but and Benedict Arnold had apparently witnessed a failed ritual in 1869 that he hoped that the failure of this ritual would have resulted in the death of Washington, but that's not the case. Moving on, though, to our last book for the moment, we've got a reboot of Witchblade. I was unaware. Witchblade was a fairly popular Image comic in the mid to late 90s. It actually was popular enough to get a basic cable television show that lasted for a few seasons. It's kind of a spin on the Arthurian legend, but the Witchblade is a gauntlet that can only be truly wielded by one person in a generation, or actually, I think it's one woman of a generation. Anyways, Sarah Pizzini states that in an hour she's going to die. And she goes over in 9 hours previously in Berlin at a dig site. Kenneth Irons is searching for something, and one of the diggers he's got finds it, and it latches onto her. He steals a car, heads to the airport, and it hops hosts. First to a cop, then to a woman who's on her way to the U.S. and who just hides in the baggage hold. Sarah Pizzini, basically she says that her father was everything, but her father was a cop. However, she was all about duty, honor, and, well, sadly, some of his fellow officers were not really all that about duty and honor. So she's working at her way at trying to root out corruption by appearing to be corrupt. So she's going to be working with a human trafficker. But and she was apparently a special operations group when she was in the military. Served in Iran, Botswana, Black Ops wing of the U.S. military, enlisted at 18, ran home at 24. And apparently the things she saw stuck with her. And so she's told to kill a human trafficker. The person that she's meeting with is a trafficker of various things. People, artifacts, whatever. Meanwhile, the host of the interim host of the Witchblade changes and makes her way to Sarah, but Sarah pulls the trigger on the human trafficker. Gun's empty. But guys got to. But the trafficker is not pointing a gun at her, as the interim host of the Witchblade crashes through the window on a motorcycle, mostly decapitating the. I say mostly because it's like from here up. The trafficker, the human trafficker, but it also bonds with Sarah, wraps her in armor, and the armor is more substantial than the original Witchblade design. And she mows through everyone, and this guy is like, what the hell happened, when she kind of comes to. Oh, and she's apparently, and the Witchblade will heal her wounds. And she also frees a cargo container of people who were being trafficked. But Kenneth Irons' associate Ian Nottingham has discovered who Sarah has the Witchblade. That is where the issue ends. This is actually really cool to, and I dug Witchblade back in the day, the comic. I never watched the show, but I had the first issue of the comic, the first few issues, I think. Michael Turner created the character, and I mean, his artwork was amazing. But I imagine if Turner were still alive, he'd likely be Witchblade would not have been rebooted with basically a fresh start. Fresh start, clean slate, and no baggage. Anyways, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Mastodon, Patreon, PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.